we go with part 3 of learning. We're talking about observational learning, and this one should be rather quick. So here we go. If my cursor will move, which it's not, it quit moving. There we go. Okay, here we go. So what's observational learning? Good straight line there. Observational learning is basically when we learn by watching others. So we learn from others. Pretty simple, right? It's also sometimes called social learning, and it's just exactly what it sounds like. We learn from watching others. We learn from their consequences, from their successes, and we learn if we can get away with something, if we can't. And so it's a different type of learning, right? We talked about classical conditioning. We talked about operant conditioning, and now this is just observing. So has to do with your cognition. This has to do with not the environment, right? So this is just going on in your head. You're watching something, you're learning from it. So it kind of doesn't give behaviorism as much support as you would like. Now, second thing we need to talk about is this really cool, really kind of rather new discovery called mirror neurons. These weren't actually kind of discovered until the very late 90s and weren't really published, I don't think, till about 2002. So I didn't learn about this when I was in AP Psychology, 1999, I believe. So these were new things. But mirror neurons are in the frontal lobe, and mirror neurons mimic the actions of others, or they mimic the emotions of others. So, for instance, how they figured this out, there's the scientists who had these electrodes and these monitors on these monkeys' frontal lobes and on their motor cortex. And when one of the researchers came walking in and he was licking on an ice cream cone, the signal that their frontal lobe, the frontal lobe, remember, is their decision making, their higher functioning area of the brain. Frontal lobe was going off. Like, wait a second, this monkey's sitting here not doing anything, but this frontal lobe alarm that they had because there was activity in there is going off. And so that was telling them. And then they noticed it again when they were eating peanuts. Same thing, frontal lobe activity was going off. So it was kind of pointing to was that these monkeys were mirroring, and the same their motor cortex was also, when they were doing the peanuts, was going off. So they were mirroring the actions that they were observing. They were trying to imitate them. So their mirror neurons were imitating what they were seeing. Another thing that mirror neurons do is they imitate emotion or empathy. So when we see somebody smile, we tend to smile more easily. Or when we see somebody sad, we tend to be more sad. We're a social being, and we're very social, right? This lends even more evidence to that. And like, try to smile when somebody's frowning, try to frown when somebody's smiling. It's a little bit harder to do, and this kind of leads credence to that fact. So we have these mirror neurons, frontal lobe. They mirror either imitation, what somebody's doing, or empathy to what somebody's feeling. And so we feel what others are feeling. This is why, like, emotions are contagious. You go into a room that's like really sad, you can feel the emotion right in the room when you enter. And it's because of these mirror neurons that are going on. Or you feel something that's kind of really happy and there's a good mood in the crowd. Again, mirror neurons, these neurons are feeling all around you. It's kind of this crazy idea, right? That you don't have to be there, or you don't have to really know what's going on, but you can just, your brain's doing it for you without you necessarily being consciously aware of it. So cool thing, mirror neurons. So last thing we need to talk about here is Albert Bandura, one of the most famous psychologists of this past century, in his Bobo doll experiment. So he's a very famous psychologist. We're going to see him again in some later units, but this is one of his most famous. He's most well known for this. This is what kind of got this observational learning thing and pro-social and antisocial behavior thing started. So here's the gist of the experiment. There's these kids, and they were in this room, and they watched a video. And this is a lady here, right, dressed in this is done, I think, I want to say in the 50s. I might be wrong on that. In this room, and this lady, this kind of just nice middle-aged lady, walks into this room and just starts beating down on this Bobo doll. This is a Bobo doll right here. Right? It's one of those things that like bounces up, and it's got like sand in the bottom, and so when you hit it, it bounces right back up. So she gets on top of it. She's like pounding it in the face. She's throwing it up, throwing it across the room, pounding it, pounding it, pounding it. These kids watch this, right? So the experiment was set up. Some of the kids watch it, some of the kids don't watch it. They just watch a regular friendly cartoon. Okay, then they take the kids and they put them in this room. And it's not the same exact room, but they put them in a room, and the room's got the Bow doll in it, but it's also got a lot of other fun toys that lots of kids during this time period would love. It has all these cool toys that, and any kid would find enjoyment to. Well, what happened is the kids who watched the aggressive behavior were much more likely to be aggressive while they were playing by themselves. Again, these kids are by themselves in this room. There's nobody around. There's just a camera watching them, and they're much more likely to be aggressive if they watch the aggressive film. Not only are they more likely to be aggressive, but a lot of times they imitated the exact words that were used in the video, and a lot of times the exact movements. So like they pin the thing on the ground and just start going to town on it, like the lady right here is kind of doing. You can see, and it really led to this credence to the fact that kids are very learned by watching, and the whole violence and television thing and all this thing that's come since then is kind of kind of always points back to this. If this is a study that's always shows that, hey, kids can learn from watching violent things. It's called. And so even little nice little girls. There's a video out on YouTube that you can watch of some of this stuff going on, but it's pretty crazy watching these kids go crazy on this doll, getting really 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 aggressive with it. And it's just from watching an adult do it right before them. Another thing with observational learning that I just want to throw in here at the last second is that we tend to learn with people who are similar to us. Similar. So we want we're much more likely to observe somebody and learn from them if they're like us. So maybe they're the same sex as us, maybe that's important, maybe they're the same race as us, maybe that's important. Whatever we might consider similar in that situation, we're more likely to learn from them. And we're less likely to learn from somebody that's dissimilar. Age might have something to do with it as well. So anyhow, those are observational learning important things, and that's it for now. Thanks.